Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about something both intriguing and a little bit unnerving, the world of fortune-telling fraud.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
You might be thinking about like dusty crystal balls
Wow.
and, vague predictions,
Right.
but the reality is
Yeah.
way more complex and, frankly, way more sophisticated.
Way more sophisticated than that. It really is fascinating how these scams have evolved alongside like our own anxieties as people, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
We are just bombarded constantly with all these messages about like finding love
Mhm.
and achieving wealth and, warding off misfortune.
Right.
And these fraudsters are masters at exploiting those very, very basic human desires.
It's more than just a few folks like taking advantage of like the gullible out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a whole landscape of scams that are very specifically designed to prey on our vulnerabilities and, often with some pretty devastating consequences too
Right.
that reach far beyond just like financial loss.
Okay, so let's kind of map out this landscape for our listeners.
Yeah.
What kind of scams are we actually talking about here?
Well, you have your classic like psychic scams, of course.
Right.
But it goes way beyond that. I mean, there's astrology scams, love and relationship scams, lottery and gambling fraud, even psychic surgery and healing scams.
Psychic surgery. That sounds especially out there.
Yeah.
Well, maybe let's start with something a little bit more familiar, like those
Yeah.
classic psychic scams. How do those usually work?
Okay. So imagine this. You walk into this dimly lit room. Maybe there's some incense burning.
Okay.
The psychic starts asking you these seemingly insightful questions.
Right.
They're making you feel like they're seeing right through you.
I can feel my wallet getting lighter already.
Right. But what's really happening is this technique called cold reading.
Okay.
And it involves like making these broad statements that could honestly apply to almost anyone.
Right.
Like, I sense a yearning for a deeper connection in your life. I mean, who hasn't felt that at some point, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So they're creating this illusion of personalized insight, even though they're just casting this really wide net.
Gotcha. So once they've gained your trust,
Right.
they'll often invent problems that only they can solve.
Yes, exactly. Like a curse or, some kind of negative energy.
Right.
In fact, our research actually uncovered a case where this psychic convinced a client that they were cursed,
Wow.
and it required all of these expensive spiritual cleansing
Oh, no.
that involved everything from special rituals to buying, like, overpriced trinkets and things like that.
Almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yeah.
They create the fear and then offer the solution,
Right.
all at a hefty price.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
What about those astrology scams?
Yeah.
How do those usually play out?
Well, think of it this way. Everyone loves to feel special.
Right.
They want to feel like the universe has some special plan for them,
Yeah.
right? And fraudulent astrologers, they tack into that desire
Yeah.
by using either really generic or even completely fabricated information
Oh, wow.
to create this sense of urgency.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe your astrological chart, it supposedly indicates this impending financial disaster,
Okay.
or a very specific planetary alignment
Uh-huh.
requires immediate action.
And I'm guessing that action involves a considerable financial investment.
You got it.
Oh.
They'll offer you a personalized report, an exclusive ritual, a consultation, all for a fee that far exceeds any real value.
Wow.
Our research found a case where an astrologer predicted financial ruin for a client based solely on their birth chart,
Wow.
preying on their deepest anxieties.
It's disturbing how they can manipulate people's hopes and fears.
It is.
But what strikes me is that a lot of this boils down to wanting to believe, right?
Absolutely. I mean, whether it's yearning for love, financial security,
Right.
a sense of control over our destiny,
Right.
these scams, they thrive on our deep-seated desires and our vulnerabilities as human beings.
Let's talk about those love and relationship scams.
Those seem especially cruel, playing on people's yearning for connection.
They really are. And, they're becoming increasingly common, too. These scams often target individuals at very specific points in their lives.
Okay.
Like, after a breakup or during periods of loneliness,
Yeah,
when they're most susceptible to manipulation.
that makes sense.
Right. They might claim you're under a love curse that's preventing you from finding your soulmate,
Oh, geez.
or that you need a specific spell to attract a particular person.
Oh, so they're basically weaponizing those moments of vulnerability.
Yeah.
What kind of solutions do they typically offer in these situations?
Well, think expensive love potions, elaborate rituals,
Okay.
or even claims that your soulmate is near.
Oh,
But they require these costly interventions to manifest.
wow.
One particularly heartbreaking example from our research
Yeah.
involves someone being told that their soulmate was very close by,
Oh.
but needed elaborate and costly rituals to appear in their life.
Oh, that's awful.
It's almost like emotional blackmail, isn't it?
It is.
They're holding your happiness hostage,
Mm,
demanding payment for its release.
exactly. And, you know, a lot of these scams go beyond just financial exploitation, too. They can inflict this lasting emotional damage,
Right.
shatter someone's trust, and make it harder for them to form genuine connections in the future.
It's a harsh reminder that we're not just dealing with, like, harmless entertainment here.
No,
These are calculated schemes with real-world consequences.
absolutely.
Speaking of real-world consequences, let's shift our attention to a category that often preys on our desire for a financial windfall.
Okay.
Lottery and gambling scams.
Yeah.
Oh yes, the dream of instant riches. It seems like everyone's hoping to strike it big.
Mm-hmm.
And these scammers know exactly how to capitalize on that.
They do.
How do they usually operate?
Well, imagine this. You get this unsolicited email.
Uh-huh.
It's from a psychic, right?
Okay.
And they're claiming to have this divine insight into winning lottery numbers. They might even show you a fabricated track record of past successes
Right.
just to boost their credibility, right?
I mean, that's playing on our confirmation bias, right?
It is.
We're more likely to believe information
Mm-hmm.
that confirms our pre-existing desire to win.
Exactly. And, you know, they often use high-pressure tactics, too.
Right.
They create a sense of urgency and scarcity.
Yeah.
You know, this is a limited time offer, they'll say.
Right.
Act now or miss your chance to win millions.
So it's not just about offering bogus numbers.
Right.
It's about manipulating our psychology
It is.
to make us act impulsively.
It's a combination of playing on our hopes and exploiting our fears.
Wow.
In one case that we researched, a psychic charged a pretty hefty fee
Okay.
for supposedly winning lottery numbers,
Uh.
which of course turned out to be completely random.
So you're basically paying for a random number generator,
Pretty much.
dressed up with a layer of mystical mumbo-jumbo.
Yeah.
Sad reality.
It is a sad reality. And sadly, it often doesn't end there.
Really?
A lot of these scammers will convince victims to keep investing,
Oh, no.
promising that, you know, a big win is just around the corner.
It's a vicious cycle of false hope and escalating losses.
is.
Now, for something truly bizarre,
Yeah.
let's delve into the world of psychic surgery
Okay.
and healing scams.
Right.
I'll admit, this one has me completely intrigued.
Yeah.
How can someone claim to perform surgery
Yeah.
without, well, actually performing surgery?
It's a fascinating blend of showmanship, sleight of hand,
Okay.
and psychological manipulation.
Wow.
These healers, they might use tricks like fake blood capsules, animal parts disguised as tumors, or even sleight of hand
Wow.
to make it appear like they're removing something from your body.
So it's like a magic show,
Yeah.
but with much higher stakes.
Yes.
What kind of ailments do they typically claim to cure?
Everything. I mean, from chronic pain, mysterious illnesses, spiritual blockages, negative energies, you name it.
Oh, wow.
They prey on people who are desperate for a cure,
Right.
especially those who have been let down by conventional medicine.
I can see how someone in that vulnerable state might be susceptible to those claims.
They are.
It's like offering a miracle when all other options have failed.
Exactly. They often attribute the ailment to some, like, unseen force, like a curse or negative energy,
Right.
and then claim to have this special gift for removing it.
Oh, wow.
Our research actually uncovered a case where a healer attributed a client's chronic pain to negative spiritual energy
Oh, no.
and then offered this series of expensive procedures to remove it.
These healers are essentially capitalizing on people's desperation,
Yeah.
making them believe they hold the key to their well-being.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dangerous game they're playing with potentially devastating consequences.
It is.
And what's even more concerning is that these scams aren't confined to like dimly lit parlors or back alleys anymore.
No, they haven't.
They've evolved alongside technology,
Right.
finding new life in the digital world.
Yeah, it's like they've traded in their crystal balls for smartphones and laptops.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
What's fascinating to me is how they've adapted to this new landscape
Yeah.
and are using technology to their advantage.
It's true. And, you know, while some might argue that technology makes us more informed and discerning,
Right.
it also opens up all these new avenues for deception.
So it's a double-edged sword.
It is.
What kind of tech-savvy swindles should we be on the lookout for?
Okay, so one common example is the virus hoax.
Okay.
It's a modern twist on the old curse removal scam.
Okay.
So you get this pop-up that appears on your computer, claims it's infected with a dangerous virus, and it demands immediate payment to fix the problem.
So instead of a cursed amulet,
Right.
it's a cursed computer.
Exactly.
They've basically digitized the fear tactic.
They have. And, these scams can get a lot more elaborate, too. Our research actually uncovered this case involving a company called DataLink Computer Services.
Oh.
And they managed to scam someone out of millions of dollars.
Millions.
Millions.
That's wild.
By fabricating these elaborate virus warnings and fake internet conspiracies.
It really highlights how these scams can thrive in the digital world, preying on our anxieties about online security
Right.
and our vulnerability to cyber threats.
Absolutely. It's a sobering reminder that while technology can empower us, it can also make us more susceptible to manipulation.
Right.
But the good news is that by understanding these tactics and learning how to spot the red flags, we can significantly reduce our risk of becoming victims.
That's a great point. Let's dive deeper into those red flags and explore how we can protect ourselves from these digital deceptions. Okay, so we've uncovered some pretty unsettling tactics using these scams.
Yeah.
But, how do we actually arm ourselves against this? Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. So let's equip our listeners with some tools to navigate this world a little more safely. I think the first line of defense is really understanding those red flags.
Okay.
Those telltale signs that something might be amiss.
Okay. Hit us with those red flags.
Okay.
What should we be looking out for?
Well, first and foremost, be wary of promises that sound too good to be true.
Okay.
I mean, if someone is guaranteeing that they can reunite you with your soulmate,
Right.
cure your chronic illness, or help you win the lottery, you really want to proceed with extreme caution.
So a healthy dose of skepticism is key.
Yeah.
If it sounds too easy or too perfect, it probably is.
It probably is. And, genuine practitioners,
Right.
they'll be upfront about the limitations of their practice, and they won't make these outlandish promises.
Okay, that makes sense.
Another red flag is the use of high-pressure sales tactics.
Like that act now or miss out feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see how that could cloud your judgment.
It can. It's a classic manipulation technique.
All right.
Fraudsters will often create a sense of urgency,
Right.
telling you that you need to act immediately
Right.
to avoid some impending doom or seize a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Right.
And this pressure, it can make you much more likely to make, rash decisions,
Right.
especially when you're dealing with, emotionally charged situations.
So if someone's telling you that you need to pay for a curse removal right this second,
Right.
risk eternal bad luck, that's a major warning sign.
Huge warning sign.
Yeah.
Legitimate practitioners will never pressure you into making a decision on the spot. They'll give you time to consider your options and make an informed choice.
What about the financial side of things?
Yeah.
Are there any red flags we should be watching for there?
Definitely. So be wary of anyone who demands large payments up front,
Okay.
especially before providing any services.
Right.
This is a huge warning sign, as it can be a way for them to take your money and run.
Oh, wow.
Additionally, you want to pay attention to their refund policy.
So if a psychic demands like a hefty fee
Right.
before even giving you a reading, or their refund policy is vague or non-existent, those are red flags.
Huge red flags.
Okay.
Legitimate businesses are usually very transparent about their pricing
Right.
and will offer clear refund policies.
Okay.
Always remember, you have the right to understand the terms of any service
Right.
before you commit financially.
That makes sense. It sounds like it's all about transparency and avoiding those situations where you feel pressured or rushed into making a decision.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about those predictions themselves.
Okay.
How can we tell if a prediction is genuine
Right.
or just a bunch of vague pronouncements?
Right. Well, I mean, the future is inherently uncertain.
It is.
But one of the biggest red flags is a reliance on vague or overly general predictions.
Okay.
Fraudulent fortune tellers, they often use statements that could apply to almost anyone. Like, you're going through a period of transition, or you're destined for greatness.
The classic Barnum statements.
Yes.
They sound personalized,
They do.
but they're so broad that they could apply to pretty much everyone.
Exactly. It's a psychological trick that plays on our tendency to seek out and interpret information in a way that confirms our pre-existing beliefs, which is confirmation bias.
Oh, wow.
So if someone's giving you predictions that sound like they could come from a fortune cookie,
Right.
be wary.
So we should be looking for specific details.
Yes.
And a clear connection to our individual circumstances, not just those generalized pronouncements that could apply to anyone.
Exactly. And finally, don't be fooled by fake testimonials or reviews.
Oh, yeah, those glowing endorsements that
Yeah.
seem a bit too good to be true.
Right. Fraudsters often create fake success stories to lure in unsuspecting clients.
Yeah.
And these testimonials, they might lack specific details or sound overly effusive, you know.
Right.
They might even use stock photos or
Oh.
fake names.
So if you see a website plastered with glowing reviews
Yeah.
that all sound the same,
Yeah.
it's a good idea to dig a little deeper.
Do some research.
Right.
Look for independent reviews on reputable platforms.
Right.
And see if you can find any information about the person or business beyond their own website.
So it sounds like a healthy dose of skepticism
Yes.
and independent research are crucial here.
They are.
Now, beyond recognizing those red flags, what proactive steps
Okay.
can we take to protect ourselves?
Well, I think the most important thing is to approach fortune-telling services with a critical mindset.
Okay.
Don't just check your skepticism at the door
Right.
because someone claims to have supernatural powers or insights, right?
So we shouldn't automatically assume that anyone claiming to be a psychic or astrologer is being dishonest.
Right.
But we should definitely approach these services with a critical eye.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think critically about the information you're being given.
Uh-huh.
Ask questions. Don't be afraid to challenge claims that seem outlandish or unrealistic.
It's about taking ownership of our own beliefs and not blindly accepting what we're told. Even if it comes from someone claiming to have this special knowledge,
Right.
what other steps can we take to protect ourselves?
Do your research. Before you consult any fortune teller,
Okay.
take some time to research their background, their credentials, their reputation.
Right.
Look for reviews from independent sources
Right.
and see if they have a legitimate track record.
So it's like checking the references before hiring a contractor.
Exactly.
You want to make sure you're dealing with a reputable professional.
Right. And it's important to remember that no one can predict the future with 100% certainty.
Right.
Astrology, psychic readings, other forms of fortune telling,
Yeah.
these are not scientifically validated practices.
Right. It's all about managing expectations.
It is.
These practices might offer insights or guidance,
They might.
but we shouldn't rely on them solely for making major life decisions.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so if we're feeling lost or in need of guidance, who can we turn to for genuine support?
If you're facing personal challenges or seeking emotional support, consider reaching out to licensed therapists or counselors.
Right.
You know, they're trained professionals
Mhm.
who can provide evidence-based support and
Okay.
help you develop healthy coping mechanisms.
That's a great reminder.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to seek help from qualified professionals rather than relying on those who may exploit our vulnerabilities.
Absolutely. And finally, be cautious about making large upfront payments
Okay.
for fortune-telling services.
Yeah.
If someone demands a significant sum before providing any services, that's a major red flag.
Right.
Always understand the costs involved and be wary of anyone who pressures you into making a quick financial decision.
So it's like any other service.
It is.
Get a clear understanding of the fees and payment terms up front to avoid any surprises down the road.
Exactly. By following these tips, you can significantly reduce your risk of falling victim to fortune-telling fraud.
This has been incredibly insightful.
Right.
We've covered so much ground today.
Yeah.
From understanding the various types of scams to recognizing red flags and taking proactive steps to protect ourselves.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, and you know, we've only scratched the surface of this complex topic, but I
straight
hope this deep dive has equipped you with the knowledge and tools to navigate the world of fortune telling with greater awareness and discernment.
I couldn't agree more. Knowledge is power, and by understanding the tactics used by these scammers, we can empower ourselves and others to make informed choices
Right.
and avoid falling prey to these fraudulent practices.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question.
Oh, I always love a good brain teaser. What's on your mind?
Do you think increased awareness of these scams could also make people more skeptical of genuine spiritual practices?
Okay.
Or is there a balance to be found between healthy skepticism and open-mindedness?
That's a fascinating question. It's a delicate balance, isn't it?
It is.
On one hand, we need to be critical and discerning, but on the other hand, we don't want to dismiss genuine practices or beliefs out of fear of being scammed.
Exactly.
So-
It's a conversation worth having.
It is.
And I encourage you, the listener, to reflect on this question and
Yeah.
form your own conclusions.
It's about finding that sweet spot between cautious awareness and open-minded curiosity.
Yes.
We've got one more part to this deep dive.
We do.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back to wrap up our exploration of the fascinating and often treacherous world of fortune-telling fraud. All right, so we've spent this deep dive exploring, this intricate world of fortune-telling fraud,
Yeah,
a landscape that's as fascinating as it is concerning.
it is.
And as we wrap up, I kind of want to circle back to that idea of empowerment.
Yeah.
It's not about living in fear or dismissing, the entire realm of spirituality.
Right.
But it's about arming yourself with knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and a healthy dose of critical thinking.
Exactly. Like, you now have a better understanding of the tactics
Right.
that these scammers use,
Right.
the psychological vulnerabilities they exploit,
Yeah.
and, the steps that you can take to protect yourself and others.
It's like we've been building a mental toolkit
We have.
throughout this episode, learning how to spot those red flags, ask the right questions, and make informed choices.
Exactly. It's like you've developed this fraud dar
Right.
that can help you navigate these situations with more confidence and discernment.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Fraudar.
Yeah.
And, if ever something feels off or too good to be true,
Right.
trust your instincts.
Trust your gut.
That gut feeling is often a valuable indicator.
It is.
Yeah, it's like that internal alarm bell that goes off
Mm-hmm.
when something doesn't quite add up.
Exactly. And, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're just unsure, don't hesitate to seek advice from trusted sources.
Right.
Talk to friends, family members,
Right.
even reach out to consumer protection agencies
Right.
for guidance.
There's no shame in asking for help or
Well,
getting a second opinion.
Absolutely not.
It's better to be safe than sorry,
Mm.
especially when dealing with something as potentially harmful as fortune-telling fraud.
Absolutely. And, the more we talk about these scams,
Yeah.
the more we raise awareness and the
Yeah.
harder it becomes for these fraudsters to operate.
It's like shining a light on their deceptive practices,
It is.
making it harder for them to hide in the shadows.
Exactly. So, as we conclude our deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this thought.
Always eager for some final wisdom.
While it's crucial to be skeptical
Okay.
of those claiming supernatural powers or insights,
Right.
it's equally important to remember that genuine spiritual practices and beliefs can bring comfort and meaning to
Right.
many people's lives.
It's not about dismissing spirituality altogether,
Right.
but rather approaching it with a balanced perspective,
Mm-hmm.
a blend of discernment
Yes.
and open-mindedness.
Finding that equilibrium
Right.
between skepticism and curiosity is key.
Uh-huh.
Don't let that fear of being scammed
Right.
prevent you from exploring genuine practices that resonate with you.
It's about recognizing that the potential for deception
Mm-hmm.
exists in any field,
Right.
but that shouldn't deter us from seeking authentic experiences.
And remember, knowledge is your most powerful tool in this journey.
It really is.
The more you understand the tactics
Yeah.
used by these scammers,
Yeah.
the better equipped you'll be
Right,
to
right.
protect yourself and others.
So keep learning,
Keep learning.
keep questioning,
Keep questioning.
and keep sharing this knowledge with those around you.
Because by working together and
Yeah.
spreading awareness,
Right.
we can create a world where these scams have less power and fewer victims.
Well said.
Huh.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the complex
Yeah.
and often deceptive world of fortune-telling fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, knowledge is power.
Yes, it is.
And by arming yourself with the right information, you can navigate these waters with confidence and avoid falling prey to these harmful schemes.
Absolutely.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe.